I remember here, I had my niece, I had like those massive bruises. There were, and I was like, couldn't be on that. Like I'm like, yeah, and then my folks were saying, thank you so much for the card, and I go, you're welcome.
People are already home. Karen, what's up with you?
We're starting now.
Something's wrong with the front of the room?
Oh my God, they're afraid.
No, I'm not here either.
You're like, I don't know what it is.
Sitting back here too, something's wrong with the front of the room.
It's gonna have those wonderful guys up there, you know.
Yeah, why does everybody else know? So I'm sitting right back
You
here.
should, and no, I do not have whatever you
I
have.
don't know what's happening.
Somebody, give some good news. What's the good news this morning?
Oh, I have great news. So I have a buyer that we've been working together for a while, and he went on pause last year. And he's a VA, so now he's back, and we found a home in Rome.
Ron,
Rome,
Georgia.
Georgia.
With my daughter. She was there.
Oh, she was? Yeah.
It's from outside of
Yes, it is.
It's very little bit.
And you can get so much up there for your
It's so
money.
cute up there.
It's
that little
so
downtown area.
cute.
It's so cute.
And greater news, Thomas and Brown actually have an option in Rome.
Oh, man. Brownie points. brownie
Your
points.
Venmo is.
But just split it with the office. I got so I will take a moment and, cause guys, we had bowls, and, I wish there was what was before, but take them up, good morning. Good morning. What is the back of the room, the place to be, all right, Sharon, tell us about bowls, what you liked about it.
Good morning. Bold was really fresh this year. It was really like, especially being that it's the last quarter, that was one of the best timings to take Bold as well, to prepare
And
business.
what is bold?
Bold, so Bold is a mastery coach class, that you have to take. It's, if you want to get activity in your business, if if you've been in a slump, or just kind of need to get back and center on your activity and lead generation, it's it's a great way to do so. Yeah, and it was like, we did a lot of social media this time, which was different from any of the past 4 other Bolds that I've taken.
I love that you got the Joy Bowl and I want everyone to hear my voice, think that next time Bowl comes, I need to be in there, and it is $800. But if you get one good deal out of there, it's worth it, and they get a bunch of good, so guys, I'm thrilled for Bowl. Okay, let us move on. Let's move on, all right, who's up?
Thomas and Brown.
No,
They got the whole thing.
They're gonna.
So-
We're doing an
100 and I are not sure, but if you want, go ahead if you want to.
I'll
We'll
make
go
it
next
quick,
week.
and we've got a lot to get to. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted
It's
to,
not.
touch on a couple of things, especially with some data that we got last week at Stats with price reductions. Something that we've been doing a lot is we're having a lot of conversations with listing agents and our buyers agents as well, in regard to price reductions as opposed to just offering borrowers closing costs instead. I'll give you an example. If somebody's looking at a $500,000 house, they're gonna be 5% down. The down payment on that is 25 grand. If you reduce that price by 20 grand to 480, that down payment is 24,000. So they're only gonna save $1,000 out of pocket. From a monthly payment perspective, they would save roughly $100, $120 a month. So if you look at that from a break-even standpoint, you take that 20,000, you divide that by $120, that comes out to 13 to 16 years. I mean, that's a fairly long break-even. So what we're telling people to do is, and we've helped some of our buyers negotiate, and our agents negotiate on this front, is instead of taking that price reduction, take the extra $120 a month and apply that to either your closing costs, or you can use that to buy the rate down because you're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck. And I think I saw a stat, from staff last week that said, 63% of listings in Q3 expired, in the city of Atlanta, in metro Atlanta. So this is definitely something that is relevant. Affordability is still an issue for buyers. There is no secret there, so this is just one way that you can get a little bit creative to keep more money in the pocket. So if you guys have any questions on that, just let us know.
Any thoughts on why rates are going up right now?
Well, I would tell you.
Why rates are up right now, I should say.
Yeah, I would tell you, and this is not political in any way, regardless of who would have gotten elected, in the short term, to get done what they promised to get done, that includes spending. And spending, just by definition, is inflationary, which is bad for long-term rates. So you're not gonna see any short-term relief in the long term. You know, again, that just goes to opinion. You can argue that one way or the other, depending on how you wanna look at it. But the data that we've been receiving, you know, inflation as a whole is inching closer to 2%. The Fed's slated to meet again, I think in 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, so they're gonna cut another 25 basis points. That does not mean that interest rates themselves will be cut by 25 basis points, but it certainly does aid in our decision to set those. So, yeah, I mean, you can argue that one way or the other, but just by definition, spending is gonna be bad for long-term interest rates. Do you have questions?
You said buy down the rate, but I've heard others saying don't buy down the rate at this point because we're expecting with the December +1 per quarter next year that rate will come down and be better to refinance.
Yeah, and that's another thing that you can argue as well. Really what it comes down to is it's just a gamble. Is anybody gonna predict exactly where the market is going to be? You know, so that's a really good point. You have that conversation with a buyer, you say, look, this is what it looks like if you buy down the interest rate. So if you're gonna buy down from, 6.875 to 6.5, what's your monthly payment difference? Are you gonna save $100? You're gonna save $150? What's the number there? And what is it going to cost you to save that? It's gonna cost you, just with simple calculation, let's say it's gonna cost you $4,000, but you're gonna save $150 a month. $4,000 divided by 150 is 26 months or a little over 2 years. In other words, it's gonna take you a little over 2 years to recoup that $4,000 that you spend in the monthly payment savings. Some people are more comfortable, and they have more cash on hand where it really doesn't matter to them. Others do not. So all you can do at that point is present them with the data and help aid them in the decision. I don't think that you could argue one is right and one is wrong, simply just because you don't know what is going to happen. All you can do is act on the data that you have right now. And just like Doug said, if you have a monthly budget and the payment fits in that monthly budget, it doesn't matter if the rate's 2% or 20%, buy the house and refinance it later. So I don't think, to be honest with you, that there is a right and wrong answer to that. It's just people's situation. So, but yeah, this stuff is ever changing. We knows that, they knows
You
that.
can't,
So-
I mean, there's not a
Yeah.
right answer to that question you're talking about, right?
So, yeah, and you can present that with math, and whenever I run calculations with people like that, well, me personally, I would way rather have an extra $5,000 in my pocket, God forbid something come up, somebody lose their job, somebody gets sick, something happened, I'd rather have an extra $5,000 as opposed to saving $100 a month. But other people look at that differently, so that's just their choice.
So I've been hearing this from people, now that, Trump is in office, he's gonna definitely bring the rates down. He's going to, it's gonna happen.
Well, I can tell you that one person does not affect the market. I can tell you that policies, traders do look at policies, but at the end of the day, there's 10 or 15, 30 different things that the market looks at in determining how they want to trade those bonds. So whoever is saying one person is gonna do it, I would probably err on the opposite side of that.
Well, I think what Hunter said though, remember what Hunter said a minute ago? So, like, let's say
This is
that,
not one person.
let's say, that's not what he said. What he said is that if the Federal Reserve lowers short-term rates, it doesn't mean that mortgage rates are coming down. So even if President Trump were to influence the Federal Reserve to lower short-term rates, that does not mean that long-term interest rates are coming down. So that's the point he's making, I think.
Correct. And that again, that is the age-old question, what's gonna happen with interest rates? some of the smartest people on planet Earth, you know, MIT, Harvard, people from all over the world get hired to consult with Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase. And I tell people this all the time, not a single one have ever got it correct. You know, so that kind of puts it into
I think it's
for a lot of people.
I think it's really important because Hunter and Reed and everything that you guys are using them to get into contract. I had one yesterday that we had 3 scenarios between 505 and 515 based on closing costs and everything. And they chose the higher number, right? Because they had all the information.
And, you know, sometimes people are comfortable, or a lot of times, especially first-time homebuyers, are comfortable with that monthly payment. Or comfortable with a higher monthly payment, again, if they save thousands of dollars out of pocket. So, again, it just goes to people's personal preference. And all you guys can do, and all that we can do, is help them aid in that decision, and make sure that they're thinking about it the correct way, so. Yeah, if anything else changes, we'll be sure to let you guys know. Thank you.
All right, give them a hand, guys, thanks. Well, guys, let me turn this down so I can see. More anything else, okay, exactly right. So, share the love, join us at our May Christmas Happy with other children in McGibney. We have someone here to talk about this one, so come on up. Let's give them a hand, guys, come on up.
Thank you. I want to introduce Robin to you. We partnered with Robin and Share the Love last Christmas for our Christmas project with our culture committee. And y'all were incredibly giving and generous. And so we want to, meet and exceed that for Share the Love again this year. So thank you for being here, and I'll let Robin take the floor.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everybody. As she said, my name is Robin Fleming. How many of you remember me from last year?
I remember your big smile.
You remember my smile?
Out of you, Robin. I love it.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm the founder of Share the Love Outreach Organization, and we come bearing gifts. If you can see on your desk, we have ornaments, says Happy Holidays on the back. So that is one, to thank you for all that you did last year. And two, for you that don't know me, is to get you excited about helping us this year. So what we do is, our goal, let me click, why we do what we do is all about our families. We want to make sure we help fill the gap between what a family has and what they need. It's always something missing that prevents a family from providing for their kids. So that's what our goal is, to help fill that gap so we can minimize the effects of poverty on a child's life. We want to get them from childhood to adulthood as successfully as we can. So we're a new organization. We just started officially in 2022 as a 501c3 organization. So every year we're adding programs so that we can help fulfill this mission. Now, our Christmas gift giveaway is our major event, and it's not just about giving kids toys. It's about helping families and helping children build their esteem. How many of you know when kids go to school, after Christmas, after the holidays, everybody want to know, hey, what you get for Christmas? And it is so embarrassing when the kid can't say what they got for Christmas. Or they make up stories and say, oh, I got this, I got that, until you have to prove it. So we look at that. We want the kids to get what they want. So this is why we give kids what they want for Christmas. We ask them what they want for Christmas rather than just giving them a toy for their age level. Okay, so you have this year, we have a registry for you to look at. Every family has given us their wish list for the kids, and you can shop accordingly. Last year, these are the pictures from our Christmas gift giveaway. As you can see, we had a table that was just extra gifts that kids could shop and say, oh, I want this, if their parents brought them. And then you see here, these are some of the gifts you guys brought inside those bags. Now, you may wonder, why are they in the Christmas bags? Because we also look at the parents' pride. We want them to be able to surprise their own kids and say, hey, I got you this for Christmas, rather than say, oh, I got my kid here you go, they want to play with it right now. They kind of spoil the surprise, and it helps with their self-pride, and it helps surprise the kids on Christmas. So we wrap them up in Christmas gifts and they get to, you know, give them to their kids on Christmas Day. These are more pictures. Here you guys here. And this is some of you here. You guys really showed up and showed out. I mean, the families were crying, literally crying. I had one parent say, I was in line for a long time, and then when I got there, close to the line, they said they couldn't help me anymore. You guys are the only one that could help me, and that's because of you. They came, they were so excited, it made a difference. I think this is a bike that one of you bought. These are more pictures. And you see us in our t-shirts, share love. And so we always strive to give good customer service. We don't judge, we show love and kindness. So as you can see, we always smile. That's a big thing with us. Make sure we're smiling and showing love to everybody. And these are bigger pictures of your office, all these bags that you gave. Now, words from our families. Last year, because you guys really, you know, showed up and showed out and everybody supported, I wanted to get feedback from the families, and we had thank you cards. Every single person that came said they wanted to fill out a card and say thank you. So these are some of the words that they had. One person said, I'm at a loss for words. You all have blessed our family so much. Thank you for your love and support during a challenging time of the year for my family. May God bless you abundantly for your unconditional love. Thank you for giving my children what they needed. So it's not about them, it's about their babies. Thank you for all the love. That's what we do, share love. This year has been hard as a single mother of 4. You all have truly blessed us. Thank you. And this is the last one, it's long, but it's my favorite. First of all, I would like to say it's a blessing to even be receiving these gifts. 2023 has not been my year. I've been financially struggling, and I honestly thought I wouldn't be able to afford gifts this year. The only thing I can provide is a roof for now. It hurts, but it's the truth. I want to thank this organization and the donors for blessing myself and my family, as well as others. You guys are the true meaning of love and hope. That's you. True meaning of love and hope. Last year, this is what you did. You sponsored 33 families, equal to 91 children. Give yourselves a hand. 91 That's unbelievable. You bought Kroger gift cards, Walmart gift cards, dollhouses, toys, everything. These parents were ecstatic. And this is what you will do. On the registry, we have 32 families and 93 children. So you're here to do it again. And I know you will, because you guys are part of Share the Love. You are community. You are supporters. We can't do it without you, and we really appreciate you. So this is our flyer. When you go on the registry, you'll see this flyer for those that want to give a donation, financial donation. This is our information. You can also visit our website for more information, to see more pictures, sharetheloveoutreach.com. And then you'll see a welcome note thanking you and telling you the deadlines. So our goal is to have everything shipped or in by December 7th, but at the absolute latest, you can have everything delivered by December 11th. So I want to say, why should you support Share the Love? Because we are all about the families. Everything we do go 100% to the families. And little administrative costs like subscription fees, but no one is actually getting a salary. So this is 100% towards our families. And we really thank you. We really appreciate you. Thank you, Stephanie, for having us here again. We're so excited to be here.
Let's give our hands, Rob. I promise you, we'll have all 32 families taken care of.
Robin, did you say how much it is for a family? I may have missed
Yes,
that.
I'm sorry, question. So estimating 50 per child is a good amount. Again, as he said, inflation. I've been struggling, it's been more like 60. But anything you give is good, but a good estimate is $50 per kid.
And if you haven't checked the link, you can go on and click like a $20 headphone set and just buy that. So you don't have to spend any certain amount of money. There's so many things from gift cards to toys to bikes to headsets and things like that.
That is true. So when you go on the website, you can look at it. It's automatically filtered to all gifts. So you don't have to sponsor a specific family. You can just pick a gift. But if you want a family, you can also filter. There are filter by family. It'll say family number 067 or whatever, and you can see everything that's for that particular family, and you can shop for that family. And if you decide, hey, I just want to give a financial donation, you can look at that that previous flyer and, see our financial information. Any other questions?
Robin, why do you do this?
It's my heart. It's what I love to do. I've been in a situation growing up where I've struggled. And as I said last year, I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to be in need. I know what it's like to have to stand in the soup lines and be embarrassed and not know how I'm gonna get what I need to eat. I've been to college, I got a degree, but the road there was difficult. And to have somebody that cares, somebody that think about those nuances as to, okay, I could give you a box of cereal, but do you have the milk to go with it? I could give you a toy, but is it what you really want to bring your, make your day? So I want to do that again, and I want to help other people. Get that child to college, get that child to a successful life, and help that family who, for whatever reason, can't provide that for their kids.
All right, guys, let's give her a hand, guys. I love the ones that not only talk a good talk, but they actually walk through lunch. All right, our word for sponsor, Waterproofing, come on up. Everyone's breakfast, want to give them a hand, guys?
Actually, let's leave that off because we got a lot of pictures. We got a lot of pictures, so we can leave that off.
Leave it up, sure, yeah.
That'd be great. Good morning. Good morning. I don't know how we follow that. I'm talking about giving kids Christmas, and I'm gonna talk to you about crawl spaces. Which is the budget. All right, so we are the Waterproof Group. I'm Alvin, this is Justin. I don't know if you remember us from last time.
Yeah.
In the back of the room, we have Lauren and Ty. They came to join us. So who remembers us from last time? Anything memorable from last time that you wanna point out? What is the takeaway? Anything? All right.
What do we do? You guys know that?
Yes.
All right, we'll start from scratch. We are the Waterproof Group. We are local. We're actually right down the street from you guys. This is our team. This is taken about 2 months ago now, right? We have grown a little bit since then. And then over here in the middle, Lauren back there, he's in the back. Okay, so what is waterproofing? Waterproofing is protective against all kinds of foundation repair stuff, that water is getting into basements, into crawl spaces. But it really is keeping water out of anywhere that you don't want it. So it could be interior, it could be exterior. Water gets through anything. It will go through places that the air doesn't get into, so because it goes through substances. So you have to be much more careful. Just because you don't see a hole in a wall or in your ground doesn't necessarily mean that water can't get into it. All right, so I'm gonna go through a lot of pictures here so I can kind of do a little education on what waterproofing is, the different things that we do. There will be a pop quiz at the end, so please make sure to take notes.
There's a present as well for the pop quiz, so.
Want to give you a little trivia?
You wanna do that now, Lauren?
No, I'll do it at the end. Okay. So, how does water get into your home? So hydrostatic pressure, which is water that comes in from the ground outside of the walls. Okay, it's trying to get in through all different places of the wall. Now, foundation wall, as you guys know, could be CMU brick, it could be red brick, it could be foundation poured, but it will get through anything. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be through the wall, it can actually come from under the footer, it can come from over the top. But with CMU bricks, or with any kind of structure, but it really happens a lot with these, water will go through it. And as you see, so if you ever go into a crawl space or a basement, you see bricks that are dark gray compared to the lighter gray that you usually see, that's moisture in the brick. That's actual moisture in the brick. And there's a white residue that
Efflorescence, I'm sure you guys probably have heard that term before.
So even though you might not see dark gray in the moment, you see any white lines, usually wavy, because that's the way water does, that's the efflorescence, that's the residue that comes through it's like almost like chalk that comes through the brick. So those, if you ever go into any crawl space or basement and you ever see that, that's a big issue for concern, that's when you give us a call. This is a nice little diagram that shows all the different ways that water can get in. So it can come in from the side, from the bottom, it can come through cracks, it can go through cracks in the foundation, it can come through over the top. And this is an indication of, what you would see if there's a lot of moisture, a lot of mold, mildew in the corner or on the brick, and you can come in and you can see white bricks that have been painted over, and so a lot of times that's to mask what's back there. They can put things that they could say it's sealant that will help the moisture get through, but really it's not, it doesn't really prevent it, it will still get through. And if there's enough moisture behind that wall, it'll take the paint, whatever sealant they put on there, it'll take it right off, it'll chip it off. This is just an example where you see water actually come through the actual cement, because cement is porous, and the water can actually pass through it. It takes time, it's not something that happens immediately, it's not a spring, you don't expect it to like gush up like a geyser. It seeps through, and it's slow, unless you have something like Helene, which we all experienced, a few weeks back, and that was crazy, that has uncovered a lot of things. A storm like that, when you have catastrophic water damage that come through, it's gonna really exaggerate what's there, and sometimes it'll open up pathways that weren't there before, and it'll make it so now, next time it rains, there's a bigger chance of that happening, because the water has already broken through. Sometimes you can have water breaking, the hydrostatic pressure pushing in from behind a brick, and you can see warping of the walls, and sometimes that could be because of poor construction, some older made homes. But usually when you have joints, you can see some bending and bowing. Sometimes when that starts to happen, that's a real big cause for concern. That you have to address. Not only immediately, you also have to address the foundation. You have to actually put support piers against the walls to actually help the foundation of the structure. That's how powerful water is. It will, as we all know, we've seen it. We've seen tsunamis, we've seen all that kind of damage, Katrina. We know how powerful water is, but it happens just as slow. It does just as much damage as slow as it will through a catastrophic event, just FYI. And then obviously what we all don't want to know is mold, because that's the most dangerous, and that's something that can creep and it can be hidden and you don't know about it, and before you know it, you're coughing and you gotta go to the doctor and you don't know what it is. So that is the biggest thing that I think a lot of people are scared of. Anything on that? So what do we do specifically in crawl spaces? You've heard of encapsulation, I'm sure you all have. We love encapsulations, we love home inspections. So when you guys do home inspections and you guys get, there's no vapor barrier, or there's mold or whatever in crawl spaces and basements, we love that. Send it over, or anything that they ever see that has any kind of water or moisture, send our way. We will take a look.
Right, and guys, just for the reference and to be clear, this is expensive, and I'm sure you guys all know this. Encapsulations are expensive, but we don't just do encapsulations, and I don't force you guys to just do an encapsulation. If you want a simple vapor barrier, because that's what the home inspector calls out for, we can also achieve that. If you just need drainage, we can achieve that. We don't have to always come out and do a full system. A lot of other companies come out and they have this big plan that you have to do. You have to do 360, and it costs 20, 30K, and now your home buyers are like, screw this house, I don't even want to mess with it. We can do the bare minimum, so to say, if that's what the home inspector is calling out. Yes, we'll give our recommendation on what needs to happen, but also what should happen, just to have it to where it's safe enough for the home buyer to actually buy and move into the house. So please understand that we're not here to try to make you guys spend 30, 40 grand on a house just to get the basement fixed or the crawl space fixed. So I just want to be clear on that.
Actually, a perfect example is, ma'am, over there, that we were talking to earlier, I don't know your name?
Christy.
Christy. So Christy has a situation, because we can come out and say, we have a fully comprehensive solution, which is encapsulation, which has dehumidifiers, but if you have open vents, we can't do that, we have to close those vents. So there are layers to the protection that you can have. The vapor barrier is the bare minimum, and it can get up to a place where you can have a fully climate controlled room, which I love to tell my clients, if you have kids, give them a crayon and let them go to town. Because they can go in there and they can slide around. We fully seal everything, so it becomes a fully livable space in there, great for storage. So if you're open up your crawl space and you're like, this place is disgusting, yeah, we'll make it look like that, and you can actually use it for storage. You can add storage to your house. This is an example of what we do along walls, where it doesn't necessarily have to be a crawl space encapsulation. This is a basement. So it's the same kind of lining situation, and this right here is a sump pump. You've probably heard of sump pumps. It's the way you get water out of houses. This is another example of encapsulation. Look how pretty that is. You go and you slide around in there and it's all clean. It's beautiful.
By the way, home inspectors love this, when they go into the crawl space and it looks like this already, they're, more inclined to actually crawl in and actually look at all your issues that you may or may not have.
And encapsulation doesn't only serve purpose for moisture. Rodents, critters, all that kind of stuff, you do that, you're basically, you're removing all of that. You're making a completely enclosed space so they can't get into anywhere, because we are completely sealing it off from everything but the insulation on the top. And that is pretty visible, and you're usually not gonna have a lot of issues there, except for spiders. This is an example of one of the systems that we use when we talked about 360, and we're putting a lining on the wall, and we dig a trench along the wall, and basically what we're doing here is we're telling water, we know you're gonna come in, we know you're gonna push against this wall, we know you're there. We're gonna drill little holes, small, tiny holes, just so the water can actually pass through. We're gonna let it run down the liner, we're gonna let it run into that little trench that we're making, or little ravine, and we're gonna take it out and we're gonna escape it from the house. That means that any water's coming in is gonna be taken out, and we're relieving the hydrostatic pressure, so there's not gonna be any foundation degradation. And this is just another example of befores and afters, I believe, this is the same picture there.
Yeah.
Of what it was before, and then these are some of the foundation structures I was talking about earlier. When you have bowling in the walls, we can sometimes put liner, we can put foundation piers, we can stabilize it to make sure that doesn't happen again. And we're actually, in a lot of cases when we encapsulate and when we do things like this, we can increase the value of the home. The system that we use, which is a 360 system, which has a liner, which has a sump pump, all these different things, is actually lifetime warranty. You can transfer ownership, so if you're trying to sell a house, if the current owner does it, it will transfer over to the new buyer. So be careful, so you can use that as a selling point. Yes, sir?
For example, the one on the right, when it's done, how long does that take? Like, how
Start
long
to
is it-
finish?
Yeah, start to finish.
It's a vague question, it's depending on how much of the system we do, but say it's just this one particular wall. We do have steel I-beam structures on this wall because this wall was trying to fall over into the basement, so we put up steel I-beam structures, but if we just waterproof this wall, this will take a day, put up the I-beams would be the second day, that'd be a 2-day project and you can make it
We're
go.
not talking weeks.
No. And by the way, I'm gonna have Lauren kind of say something about this, but just so you guys know, a lot of times in homes, obviously basements can be finished or unfinished, but when they are finished, you have a water problem, that's usually not really such a great thing, because we gotta come in there and not only fix the problem, but we also have to tear out the drywall, the floor, and all that crazy stuff, and you're like, oh my god, now I got this can of worms on my hands. We do offer build back some GC work, so we will go into a basement, demo what needs to be demoed, install a waterproofing system, and then we will build it back. And then sometimes we go into a remodel standpoint, and we can actually offer more services if they want to upgrade a bathroom, or if they want blase, we can also achieve that task. And that's where Lauren does come in, so, just kind of a reference there.
Any questions so far? These are just some examples of some of the jobs that we've done, so you can see we can go into finished basements. This is a beautiful basement in Decatur. And we actually have to put in a system in, and this is actually on a different kind of slab that I think a lot of us are used to, monolithic, meaning we did not trench, we did not build the trench, our system actually stayed above the concrete. So we actually, you can't see it, but we actually didn't have to trench anything there.
Yeah, this is another example though of a basement that we did build back. I don't know if we have a photo on this being finished or not, but nevertheless, this customer, this was actually my job. He had no other choice but to do a system inside this, to dig it out and waterproof from the outside. He had this huge shed that was on this side, and he had this gigantic concrete slab for a big hot tub on this side of the wall. Huge deal to actually waterproof from the outside, so the inside option was the only option. And we assured him that his basement would look just how it was before we showed up. So I don't know if the next photo shows it finished or not, but we did rip it out, as you can tell. We do clean demo, and then we were able to build it back. And we went there, actually, he called us back out, because the other side of his basement's leaking now. And we actually just finished that job. This job's probably finished back in '23. He just called us back a few months ago on the other side of the basement, and we ripped out the entire side of that. And they actually did have a full kitchen on the left side of this house. Ripped the whole thing out, and yes, we did build the entire thing back as well.
So we need to move on pretty quickly. We have a full agenda, so we're pretty close.
Oh, sorry. All right, so just another example of something that we do. This is in a garage. Foundation wall step downs, the ground is about here. This is one of the systems that we put when we have to step it down. And now we're gonna talk a little bit about commercial.
We don't really necessarily have to continue to talk about commercial. Commercial is just commercial waterproofing. We do everything from the infrastructure all the way from the ground all the way to the rooftop. I don't know if you guys do any commercial sales or not, but we do a number of commercial waterproofing techniques.
We do commercial roofing, but not residential roofs, no, not shingles, but we actually, do parking decks. And this is underground parking deck, so we coat the pedestrian and driveways. And pickleball courts and tennis courts. So we have HOAs and they wanna maybe convert tennis to pickle, or they wanna create one, or we have buyers that wanna create, this isn't somebody's personal residence.
That's a private pickleball court. We have a robust specialty coating side of things, so we get into some pickleball and tennis court coatings as well, so keep that in mind.
What are some tips you can give us as realtors, like when we're walking through a house with our buyers and we're in the basement and we see possibly old water stains on the ground, on the cement, or even on the wall of the basement? How do you tell if it's an issue that's, ongoing, or is it something that's happened?
In that particular situation, to be honest with you, I would just recommend monitoring the situation, because when there is damage that is there, whether if it's ongoing or it's residual, you could spend a lot of money getting it fixed, but you may or may not have to. So monitoring that situation is a good idea, because you could end up spending 10, 15 grand on this situation when maybe it is residual. I've had a basement where it flooded out from a plumbing pipe upstairs and the whole basement had 2 inches of water in it. Once it all got dried up, there was a stain across the concrete wall all the way around.
Right.
That's not water damage from the outside, it's just residual from a previous problem that they already had, so you could have some of that as well.
So would you come out and take a look at it for us?
Yep, you could definitely recommend an inspection just to make sure that things are okay. We'll give it our
Is there a cost to that?
free inspection.
Okay. And what about on the walls, what kind of cracks or lines should we look for that?
Horizontal cracks running across the wall, and then
Right.
stair-stepping cracks.
So not the vertical ones?
Vertical cracks, not necessarily, unless they're opened up bigger than a credit card, can actually slide in and out of it, no problem.
As far as water is concerned, I mean, I think that inside a house, anywhere that you have water, you should definitely have somebody come take a look at it, because it's not meant to be there, it can be coming from somewhere. I think the example that we showed of the house, where we had to come back is a perfect example, where water, just because you see it here doesn't mean that it starts here. This could not be the origination point, it could be somewhere way over there, and so you need somebody to actually come and assess holistically of where it is. And water is showing somewhere, moisture showing somewhere, darkness in the cement, water or mold or fluorescence on cracks, on bricks. Make sure that you call us out, because we can take a look at it and we can actually identify where it's coming from and stop it and make sure it's not happening again.
Okay, maybe y'all can come back and do a lunch and learn for us, we have more time. Yeah, we want to have that, right. Can we give them a hand?
And they did mention that you can pay to close, the sellers can
Cool.
pay to
Yeah,
close.
you can pay it close for sure.
Thank you guys, thank you, all right guys, moving on, career night, Jalen, you want to say something about that?
Yes,
quickly?
career night next Tuesday. Invite your guests, invite your recruits, anybody looking to get into the business. Career night next Tuesday.
Cool, all right, thanks Jalen. Business planning clinic, coming up with Amanda Dahl, and I don't really think about this at all.
It's KWYP, so if you didn't get the chance to do a business planning clinic yet, this is gonna be with KWYP. Amanda Dahl, she's an amazing coach and consultant. This is gonna be virtual Zoom. The time listed on the flyer is 10:30 to 3 Central Standard Time. But once you get the Zoom, you can convert the timing into Eastern Standard Time. Amanda Dahl is amazing. She does great consulting, coaching for business, wealth building, and if you haven't had the chance to do your 2025 business plan, she's perfect for it.
Fine, guys.
No, it's free.
And
Yep,
then
it's free.
And then, mini power day Tuesday.
This Thursday.
November-
Thursday.
Thursday, I said, on Thursday, you know about this?
Yes,
Like,
I
about
do, so. I very much do, cause you guys have asked us to do Power Days again. So this is a teaser. Usually when we do Power Day, it's a Power Day. This is a teaser. We're gonna meet here at 8:30. we are going to go over scripts and dialogues. Cause what do we normally hear? Oh, I don't lead gen because I don't know what to say, don't we, Rob? So.
As Rob stares at his
As
hands.
Rob says, because Rob is a good guy. So we're gonna meet at 8:30, we're gonna go over some scripts, and then from 9 to 11, you guys are gonna get on the phone and follow up with all your contacts and your leads and have fun. We might even have a few prizes.
I love that, I'll help you with the prices.
Alright, so Thursday, meet me downstairs in the lead gen room at 8:30. Alright, and I'll be
Very
gone.
quickly, because I wanna get, our program up here, so let's very quickly, your goals and your investment strategy, lunch and learn, coming up with Edward Jones, with Phil Downing. Guys, if you don't have no investment strategy, you may wanna come to this, because, one of these days you may wanna stop selling real estate and live on your investment, so please sign up for this. And now it's trivia time. Come on, let's welcome Carrie.
What do you think? Do you think it's better off to be able to
Probably
see
just
it?
for this part, yeah, and then we can. Well, we are Barker's Beauties, not really. Does anyone know that is? I'm Carrie, this is Cheryl, so we have some fun little trivia since we've been doing code of ethics and license law lately. We have some of those, and then Cheryl has a few sneak peek items for the 2025 stuff, so. Shall we, Vanna? We'll call Kimberly Vanna White today.
She got the wave.
Yes, first question, all realtors are bound by the code of ethics, true or false? True. Look at Shelley raising her hand.
She also sat on the front row.
Cheryl, if you're not a realtor, are you bound by that?
You're not, number one, you're not bound by the code of ethics, but there is typically a lot of overlap between license law and the code of ethics. So a lot of times what would have been an ethics violation may also be a license law violation. And you can be forced to mediate or arbitrate. Your clients cannot and non-realtors cannot, but they can still use the process.
Great answer.
Right, number two, let's see, the code of ethics is divided into 3 major sections titled duties to clients and customers, duties to the public, and duties to community.
Wrong.
Which one is the correct one, or which one is the incorrect
The
one?
last one is incorrect because it's duties to each other.
That's correct, duties
Wow.
to
Oh,
realtors.
Look at that. She
Rocking
earned that
it.
$5 Dunkin'
We
Donuts
might
card.
have taught the code of ethics last Thursday.
All right, number 3, let's see. First adopted in 1913, the purpose of the Code of Ethics was to establish a professional standard of conduct for real estate practitioners.
True.
Who remembers the year though?
What? Yeah, that was, somebody asked me on the Zoom yesterday, they were like, is this gonna be a trick question? I'm like, no, it's not a trick question. So, the National Association of Realtors was created in 1908. It was called the National Association of Real Estate Exchanges at the time, and in 2013 was when the Code of Ethics was created.
So do I raise my hand and
True.
say true?
1913. 1913.
Yay! There you go. I'll buy everyone some coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. It's not like.
I really have wine, thank you.
Okay. Number 4 says the Code of Ethics is continually reviewed and revised.
True.
I think we know that's true.
Yes. Well, and they didn't start doing that until 1989. There was a realization at that point that we needed to be looking at it. You'll see some revisions to the code. There's still standards of practice that probably don't comply with the settlement. So there'll be some revisions here coming in the next year or so.
Forever on the committee changes, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right, Ms. Vanna, number 5 says, ethics complaints only cover disputes between realtors of different firms over referral fees.
False. Whichever one you pick.
I know, well,
The-
you got
the-
the other one, I'll give you that.
Yeah, the answer to that is false. It is the ethics complaints and requests for arbitration. It is only mandatory if they are realtors with different firms, because if you are realtors with the same company, it's presumed that your broker is gonna take care of that as an internal matter. But it's not usually about referral fees, it's usually about commission and ethics violations.
All right, Vanna, number 6. The federal law that if violated is a specific disqualification for getting a real estate license.
Fair housing.
Yeah, fair housing.
Nice work.
So
You guys
it
know
is,
your
fair parts of fair housing are Article 10 of the Code of Ethics, and then violation of fair housing is considered an unfair trade practice under license law.
All right, Vanna, number 7. A licensee must have a license for this long before they qualify to get a broker's license.
5 years.
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
3 of the last 5.
3 of the last.
Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the last 3. You could have been inactive for a couple of years, but yes, 3 years.
That's always hard. It's like the 2 of the last 5 when you're selling a house, like what is it?
Exactly.
What is it? Okay, number 8, I believe this is our last one. A brokerage office that moved must tell Greg within how many days? 30, 60, or 90?
30 days.
30 days.
Gotta know where you are, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Okay, I think I heard you first. There you go. And last but not least, let's see, money must be deposited into a trust account as soon as interest is expressed, contract is executed, or practically possible.
Practically possible, yeah. And practically possible has become a lot quicker these days because of technology, so.
And I kept saying this is actually the last one, we had 10 questions, so sorry.
You're like,
I thought we had 7 for some reason. Which one of these things can tell a broker how to disperse trust money? Verbal instructions, interpleader, or broker's personal preference?
My preference.
Whatever Jim says.
Exactly right.
Interpleader, yeah. Yeah, so obviously a written agreement, closing, having not gone under contract to begin with, there are other things that will allow it, but not verbal, and it shouldn't be the holder's personal preference, and that could be a broker, that could be an attorney.
But the one that gets me though, Cheryl, please speak about this. There's a company that I won't use their name, but we clearly should have gotten the earnest money. But they called me and said, the trader called me and said, but I made a reasonable interpretation of the contract.
And if, I've gotta be really honest, if you don't think that attorney made a reasonable interpretation, just like you all have the Georgia Real Estate Commission, where you can be reported for violating your obligations, we have a Georgia bar. So failure to disperse it at all, not agreeing to disperse it, giving it in a way that you really, all things being equal, looking at the legal side of things, you think that they made the wrong decision. I have a lot of conversations with people about how I'm gonna disperse earnest money, and a lot of people, I got over the past 10 days, because we dispersed earnest money yesterday, from the buyer, the deadline was Friday at midnight, and the buyer was gonna lose their earnest money because their agent screwed up. That's the real honest answer. And so on Friday, they were asking for more time, and I'm like, the problem is you missed a deadline to begin with, right? So now you're just going to do it again. I said, but I can't disperse over the weekend, so I'll give you the weekend. So it was God came in, having mercy, please split it, please be fair, and that's a lot of what I get. God comes in when I'm trying to disperse earnest money with some frequency. So I believe in God. He's just not the one who wrote the contract.
I like that, Cheryl. I like that.
So.
All right, and then next Cheryl has a couple of things to share, and I just want to say the first one because when I read this, I was so excited. Cheryl said for the Speak Speech, take the class from someone who attends the Forms Committee. I wonder who that is.
I'm not the only person.
I know, I love that.
I'm one of only 2 lawyers who teach and attend the Forms Committee meeting, and I'm probably the only one who also attends the subcommittee meetings. So it might be a relatively small group. But there are a lot of good instructors in our state that are brokers, and they will teach at some of the boards with some frequency. So I think Tom Gillette and Chuck Unitas are pretty much retired. Some of the instructors are getting kind of old, quite frankly, and retiring, not just a comment on their age. But Lisa Oden teaches a lot for the Atlanta Realtor Association. She is absolutely fabulous. pull up these people and see. A lot of closing attorneys will teach the class because they took the 3-hour train the trainer. I have watched those attorneys yada 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 through parts that were really very much important because they don't understand that we changed a capital L to a lower L and it changes the entire way you use that section of the document. So really honestly, I said this the other day and people were unaware, I'm here the second Thursday of every month teaching a class. And we have a whole year's worth of our calendar, we built out the 2025 calendar. So the second, and it's always 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, like clockwork, I will be here. And in December and in January, those will both be the contract changes. If you can get here for the December one, get here for the December one, because when you wake up on New Year's Day, the forms will have changed, whether you know it or not, and that includes brokerage agreements. There will be additional brokerage changes. You'll probably, we haven't talked about it, but we probably will have some significant mid-year changes. So we may like redo the schedule a little bit in the middle of the year. But you need to get to one of the classes and take it, so really
And
super
we
important.
will, if you're not able to come in person, we will have a Zoom, but as you guys know, this can get a little crazy, especially with that many people
There
on
will
it.
be, for our What Changed Zooms have between 200 and 300 people on them
Yeah.
in the last couple of
And
years.
you can imagine the dogs barking and nobody's listening and the it's just a lot, so.
Someone wants to talk about their one deal and like go
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole of a single transaction. So the in-person classes, particularly when it is your brokerage for you, is the best place to get this information and be able to hear the other questions that people in the room are actually asking. So there is a huge value to being here in person.
Can you talk at all about what you suspect will happen, in 2025?
It will be, well, I mean, what will happen to the forms or what will happen generally? So one of the things that Seth talked about in Destin, you will see, and it'll be the revision of the buyer brokerage agreement where there will only be one blank for one number, which is how much your client has agreed to pay you and how much you are authorized to get from the other side. And that is because the NAR attorneys have said that that has to be the same number. They are currently 2 blanks, 4B and 4C on the form right now. There will only be 1. So that will force you to make those numbers the exact same number. There is also a 4D on there right now that is whether or not what you get from the other side offsets what your client owes you. The attorneys didn't like that either. We said, thought you wanted it to be negotiation. None of us cared about removing 4D because all of us fully expected that anything that was received from the other side would offset what your own client's obligations were, so that D will go away. 4A is the general lease statement that says that compensation is not set by state law, and so there's no set amount. There's a second sentence on there that the forms committee added that said, but this doesn't mean I have to negotiate or my company doesn't have to necessarily negotiate. Just because we're gonna negotiate doesn't mean I have to work for what you wanna pay me, right? It's a negotiation, it's an adult discussion. The NAR attorneys didn't like that sentence on the front. It'll still be there, it's just gonna be phrased a little bit differently and it won't be on the first page anymore. So it'll be in the B section of the contract. And we will change other things. We've changed the financing forms, we've eliminated some documents. There will be a few things not actually about commission, that we'll actually be discussing. And things like your financing exhibits, those are really important to know, because if you don't know that they changed, you may not understand what the rights of your buyers and your sellers are in those deals. Yeah.
On the buyer commission amount that we're putting in there, is there a special stip that we add that says if a builder's offering a bonus?
You cannot.
So bonuses are going across away.
Well, you can, but only if your client was obligated to pay you that amount. We already had to remove the open-ended and any bonuses and any amounts. We removed that in, I guess, July.
So will we just do an amendment if we find out there's a builder that says we'll give you an extra
You can,
$2?
Two things, you can amend, you can also have a higher amount, and
That's what I
once
did.
you find out what is coming in, you can forgive. Like, you don't have to bill your client for it. And the only thing that I will say is, I think you need to be very careful with billing some of your clients and not billing others of your clients, because you've gotta consider fair housing in the way that you're treating people. But you can amend, and the only question comes up in the amendment of, if I'm your buyer and you want to amend it to get the $10,000 bonus, you have to understand that my response might be, can I have some of it too? Like, there's an extra 10 grand sitting there, you know, can we split it? And I don't know that all of the builders are gonna allow you to, like, the builders are gonna be their own little animal that we deal with. The other part of the new construction, that if you haven't been here for one of the other classes, but we have heard, one of the benefits of the forms committee is there's a bunch of us from all over the state that get to hear what each other has to say. And there are builders who are saying, we will not pay anything to the buyer side of the transaction unless there is a buyer brokerage agreement that is dated prior to the day that buyer walked into the neighborhood and put their name on the list. So having that buyer brokerage agreement in advance is gonna be really important too. So, any other questions about that?
Forms or in general, or just that one?
What?
Any question or?
If you wanna ask another question, yeah, this is a list, I did this for another group the other day, but a lot of these things have ended up in my Facebook posts. If you don't follow me on Facebook, I post something every day, usually something that I got in my email the day before where I went, oh Lord. So a lot of that is there, but what's your question?
I know this is gonna irritate you, and I've sat in on the forms committee meetings, but I've had 2 deals this week fall apart because of age of HVAC. I know it's hard to name how old the condenser, the heater, and the AC is, but can we please find a way to.
Bingo.
Because it's killing our deals, and I see the attorney side of it too, but.
It's not even the
No.
attorney side of it, is there's not one age, that's the problem. If
Well,
you-
then let's put a grid with 3 sections for the 3
Three
parts.
sections, if you ask me what the age of my HVAC is, I have like 4 units, I have like 12 different ages. For the, I mean, I'm not even being facetious, because we had started to replace these air conditioners as we brought them in. I mean, you all can propose solutions, but any age that you put in there is, I don't care if you put a grid of 4, people are still, a buyer's gonna make an argument that a seller misdisclosed. And the other problem, and we have seen this with a disclosure having to give, like, making the seller give copies of HOA documents and other things like that. The other true struggle that we have, and again, not a legal struggle, it's a practical struggle, is the harder we make that document to fill out, the more sellers start to refuse to fill it out at all. And we all know they don't have to.
But they'll skip boxes they don't know what to do with, but if I don't know it's 30 years old, my poor
So-
buyer's trying to negotiate after an inspection and it's killing the deals.
So what I do at least, is that before I show, I get the disclosure. And I know the HVAC is not gonna be on it, so I text right away the agent and I say, could you please get the information?
Can you ballpark for me?
Yeah, give me how many units you have and what happened to the heater, because sometimes they do different things, and give me the whole history.
But I'd rather ask at least on the seller's disclosure
Why not just take a
anyway.
picture of the sticker?
I
take a
know it's
picture
not
of
an
the
easy
sticker and
thing, you're
I
gonna
look it
skip
up.
it, but
Yeah, but the guts
at
inside.
least ask.
I'm gonna tell you, they won't, because there's not one way to answer it.
But
That's the
see,
problem.
we're okay with any way to answer it.
I know,
but you gotta come up
no.
with something.
When somebody if I put 2 years, because the last air conditioning unit that I bought was 2 years ago, and the buyer then finds out that a portion of this unit is 15 years old, they're going to sue me for misdisclosure, and I'm gonna refuse to answer this question. You're setting me up to get sued for misdisclosure. And what is in that property disclosure survives the closing. My liability is gonna hang way out there. So it's one of those things where, again, because it's not a single unit, you'd have to have a whole exhibit that's just like HVAC system disclosure statement.
Well, we asked, has anything been replaced, yes or no? Yes. There's no details, so give what unit's been replaced, how long ago, it tells us anything helps. Because some of these agents are not helpful, or they're not calling us back, so.
But
we want them on.
those people are not gonna have their sellers fill out a seller's
Right,
property
exactly.
disclosure correctly either, and that really gets into
I'll bring
part
my
of the problem.
suggestion.
Kimberly?
Yeah.
It's Liz from the great beyond. I had this exact thing. It's so funny because I wanted to ask you the same thing about the HVAC, but you're absolutely right. So I find myself asking now, hey, I got your seller's disclosure. What, are you paying a buyer's compensation? And can you find out how old the HVAC system is? It's crazy, but I find myself asking those two questions.
I would even not just ask what is the age of it, can you give me all of the information that you have about the HVAC?
Great point.
Ask me what the age is, I might say, well,
Right.
I think some of it was there when I bought the house in '08. We replaced something a few years later and they redid the ductwork, whatever. And then, but if you ask me for all the information, you know what I would do? I'd go find all the paper, I would go pull the paperwork and just email you like all that stuff. which is
Right, versus just a number. That's a great
probably
idea.
a lot more helpful than
Yep,
what
Yep,
it-
yep.
So, because I do have all that stuff, because I knew at some point I was gonna be selling the house and I want all the proof of what I paid for all the air conditioning units over the years for deduction purposes. Yeah.
I mean, is the answer, Christie, to say, well, then we'll have an HVAC, company come out and inspect us and tell us what they are? Is that the answer?
Yeah.
Would that be the answer?
Oh, my inspector will tell you, but when I find out it's
What
30,
did you say?
I said the inspector will tell you, we find out it's 30, we made an offer based on what we.
I know that there's not a good solution. I mean, you and I will agree as to what the problem is, absolutely positively. So, but yeah. Yes, ma'am?
I was ready for you today, I had my questions ready. You helped weigh in on this, but don't know if I should bring it to the Forms Committee or just ask you if we can tee it up. I had damage done by a buyer's inspection agent, $39,000. The contract says if a buyer causes damage, they will pay the seller promptly.
Yeah.
There's no definition of that, and we couldn't ask the earnest money to be held while we wait for that to be finished.
So the buyer legit freaking damaged this property to the tune of
$39,000.
$39,000. And
Sprinkler.
the problem was they also terminated during the due diligence period.
Oh my God.
So they get their earnest money back. It's on my list, because I think if you damage the property, that should be one of the things, like I should at least be able to go get the earnest money toward
Just
making.
hold it from letting them have it back until we resolve the issue.
Yeah, no, I think damaging the property should be considered a default for which the buyer loses
Yes.
their earnest money, even if during the due diligence period.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer, because I don't want it to be held, I want the seller to get it
Yes.
during that period, because no one was arguing that there was damage and who caused it. That was not even a question. The problem is the earnest money and that damage are just two completely different things in the contract, and I think that it should be considered a default. Now, if the buyer damages it and goes on to close on the property, who the hell cares, right? So we have to write it carefully, but if they choose to get out under a financing or due diligence or anything else, then that earnest money is going to go toward the damage amount that they
Or
did.
even expanding the wording of what earnest money stands for, it stands for you doing what you say you'll do in the contract.
Yeah.
And if that's one duty that you haven't fulfilled, you haven't finished your contract and you don't get your earnest money back.
Yeah, and we do that, or we add into that paragraph, like notwithstanding any due diligence period, you damaging the property is considered. What we don't want to do is have it a default that gives the seller the right to boot the buyer out, because if the buyer does wanna buy the house they damaged, I think they should be allowed to, so I've gotta work on the
Agree with that.
language, but absolutely
So I don't need
positively.
to file for that, you got it on your list?
I've got it. It's on my
Thank you.
list.
Was it the inspector?
It wasn't the buyer themselves, right? It was the company that they had come in.
But it's their property. No, it's their
Inspector,
property.
They don't cover it.
Yeah, they're actually on behalf of my little,
Yeah.
they spent years in copyright.
No,
So, you know,
she had to go through
Yeah.
one afternoon, they have limited liability.
I know it's 10:30, I know we gotta wrap it up.
Thank you.
10:40.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second Thursday of every month.
We love you guys, yay!
Thank you, Cheryl.
You are very
Sorry I haven't beat that horse for a long time.
Okay, I'll share just a couple more slides and our brains that is up there, we'll be finished, okay, all right, so, all right,
Second
Cheryl,
Thursday.
so have you heard of this?
The Corporate Transparency Act, yes.
That was.
Can you put them on that?
Well, the first sentence is I'm not a CPA.
And we have a CPA coming next week.
Fabulous. Because they're really the people that should be answering the question. Part of me is a little frustrated by this because they have also potentially, like, I get what the point of it is, which is people can hide behind LLCs.
And they don't know what it's
So
called.
what the federal government wants is a list of who is the actual human being that owns every company. And they promise no one else will get the list, because they've always done a really good job protecting our data, IRS. And but what they're looking for is individuals that are using LLCs for money laundering, drugs, terroristic acts, like I understand the point of it. And it is, so there's an LLC for which I'm a registered agent, which is, and it's for a real estate agent who owns rental properties. She doesn't want people to know, she's not her own registered agent because she doesn't want her name associated with that company, because she's gonna rent out companies and some tenant's gonna get mad at her or something, and then they're gonna use the fact that she's a real estate agent to come at her. So there's a reason that we create LLCs and that it doesn't have her name in the LLC, it's like, something dogs or whatever. But there is now a requirement that we reveal what the true ownership of these LLCs are, but the CPAs are the appropriate people to do it. But the deadline is the end of this year.
Yes.
So if you have an LLC,
And the fine is big,
you probably, what?
the fine is big.
Yeah. You have probably received some emails from like the Georgia Secretary of State over and over again reminding you, this is not junk email, you need to pay attention to it, you need to get with your CPA, you wanna make sure you're on the right side of
Check
everything.
your spam though, that's where mine went.
Yeah.
So the form is called the beneficial ownership filing, and I've already done it. It's pretty easy to do. It's very easy.
It's very easy for us to give up all of our information to
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
so that they can protect it.
But you all, next week, you're gonna have an accountant come and tell us specifically what to do,
Yes.
and he will file it for you, so it's filed correct for $35.
Oh, fabulous, cause it really is a relatively pro forma item.
Elliot and I sat down last Sunday and did both of our LLCs. It is so easy
My
to
understanding
do.
is whether you have an LLC or not, if you're running a small business, whichever one in this room is, that you still gotta file, is what I've been told.
And you do.
This company, if you registered, if you registered like a trade name, so you are a sole proprietor and not an LLC or a corporation. Most of you all, though, for further beneficial tax and expense reasons, have actually gone to the efforts of creating an LLC to operate your business out of. But if you were a sole proprietor and you registered, best real estate ever with Cobb as a trade name, then it would count for that too.
Does the holding company
Is
have
there anything
tools
you
to
don't
do
know?
No. There are some things I
Are there new lawsuits against NAR with how NAR has been spending their nonprofit money?
I don't know that it would be a lawsuit, but I don't know. There have been lots of gripes against NAR for the completely ineffectual way that they handled the lawsuit. And I don't know, with all the conversations that we talked about a minute ago where we didn't wanna make this change, when you see the 2025 changes, you have to understand, no one was happy within the Forms Committee about the changes that we're making. But a lot of it came from the NAR attorneys talking to the DOJ attorneys. So the question is gonna be, what does that look like in 2025 when the entire Department of Justice is gonna shake out? Because almost there will be a large number of people within the Department of Justice who will be replaced when the administration changes, so.
If one of my LLCs doesn't have an EIN number, do we still have to do that for the BOIR form for that?
Oh, I think you have to do it for
Even
every
if it
company,
doesn't
that'll be
have
a question for the CPA. And then, obviously, if the answer is you also need to have an EIN, that's like 5 seconds on the IRS
Right.
website, that's really super easy as well.
And in this age of technology, we found a CPA on YouTube that walked us through that little form. It's so easy to do. You don't have to pay anybody to do that form.
But if you wanna
It's
pay
so
someone
easy. But if you want
$35
to-
and take this off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take it off of your list?
I would pay $35 just to say my accountant did it for me, that's the reason I do it.
Yeah.
Because I won't say he did it for me, or she did it for me correctly.
Yeah.
And it's really managed, so, anyway, you're a Jew.
The other thing, guys, because you have people that you're sending information out to, this may be something that you could do as a post, because some people within your sphere of influence also own LLCs. So you may be able to get some snippets from the CPA next week and put together like a little video and put it out there and point them in the right direction. Yeah.
Who's heard of this new law? Better than I thought, because I had not until a couple days ago. Better than I thought. That's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
so.
Okay. Thank you, girl. I love having you here.
You are very
I'm glad you're on my side.
You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
My God, just a couple more things, I promise you, and we're on. So guys, we've been doing this as long as I've been here. And not everyone loves that it's a Tuesday before Thanksgiving, but that's just when we decide to do it. Because people leave early. But next Tuesday is a Thanksgiving potluck here, and we'll have our sales meeting as usual, and then 11 o'clock we'll have this potluck. Guys, it is so much fun. Come, bring a dish. Come if you're single and you don't have to cook, and just bring a bag of potato chips. I don't really care, but you know what? Go back, please. But that is. Yeah, there we are. That is next Tuesday. We always have got plenty of food. We've never run out of food ever before in our life. If you want to bring your kids, bring your kids. I don't care, because we'll have plenty of food. If you're going to bring 2 or 3 kids, make sure you bring something for us to eat. So that's next Tuesday morning, at 11 to 1 o'clock here in the office, and it's a lot of fun. You will enjoy it, okay? And then Quan's Holiday Party Live. This was one of the best parties, if not the best we've ever had. We're going back there again. And it's on Friday, December the 6th from 6 to 9 at the Battery. You will love being there. It's a really fun party. Come dressed as your favorite Santa outfit. I'm kidding. Well, the Elephant Exchange. God, we also love this. Do you remember that present you got from your ex-mother-in-law or from your ex-sister-in-law or from your child? That's like, I'm never going to use that. We'll wrap that gift up and bring it here, and we're going to have a gift exchange. One of the most fun things that we do, Sherry is in charge of it, so we follow some rules, sort of. So guys, that is on December 17th, following the team meeting also. That's a wonderful event we're having here. And please come and you can bring a wrap gift. Exchange gift. All right, Jalen, give us a lessons learned.
All right, gonna bring this home today. How's everybody doing?
Very good, thank you.
Alrighty. Want to give another plug for the Power Day on Thursday. The impact of showing up. From Bold yesterday, they gave the numbers on how much business was generated in Bold. There were about 100 agents from the Rawls group that had took Bold. There were 146 new listings taken, 328 new buyers that were signed, 123 contracts where people went under contract, and at an average of $12,500 per deal, overall, there were $7.4 million in gross commission income that was generated within a 6-week period from showing up and doing the activities and doing the work. So it's free to show up on Power Day on Thursday. Start out your 2025 strong, finish out 2024 very strong. I want to do an activity that was outside of real estate that we did at Bold. It was one of the most impactful things. We're coming up on Thanksgiving and a season of thankfulness. Don't want to take too long, but it really stuck with people yesterday, and so I wanted us to be able to try it. So if you don't have a pen, raise your hand. I want everybody to participate. So if you need a pen, I have pens. Who needs a pen? All right. No problem. There you go. Anybody else need a pen? Alrighty. So you should see a blank piece of paper in front of you. And you should see a piece of tape that is in front of you where you're sitting at. There should be a piece of tape that's right here in front of you. You look ahead. I am going to need, Shelly, you want to be a model?
Sure.
Come on up. So, Shelly's gonna be our model. I am going to take this piece of tape. What we are going to do, could I put this on your collar? Alright. Gotta get it.
Go with the flow.
There we go. So what you're gonna do is tape this on the back of the person's collar where they can't see the paper. What I put in front of everyone, there should be something that you can put under the paper to be able to write. And I want us to go around and write some compliments to each other. So something you're thankful, somebody's strength, a compliment, something that you're grateful for that person for. Just want us to take 2-3 minutes to just be able to share some thankfulness and some love with each other. And all you're gonna do, if you can turn to the side, we're going to go under and you can write right here. Kimberly's gonna play some background music and we're just gonna go for about 3 minutes. Alrighty, so the tape is in front, hold on 1 second.
So you're gonna write about the person
The person, yes, you're writing a message to the person who's on their shirt. Yes. And Kimberly, can you give us some background music?
You leave? You said leave. Oh, you already got a partner. Did we choose a partner over here? I guess, you said choose a partner, right?
You choose a partner, or just choose somebody?
Just walk around, spread the love. There we go. Gotcha.
Okay, thank
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I gotta write it first. I could write it back.
Oh, that's what he gave you this thing.
Yeah, this is for.
That's what he gave you.
Yeah, read this. You take
Does
that.
not follow instructions well.
And make it.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, so you did. Oh, you already did.
Oh, well, I think we could put more than.
Oh, you put more.
If you're watching online, spread some compliments in the chat. Send some compliments in the chat.
Virginia, don't make me write on your shirt.
You're writing a story back there, thank you. Nah, I appreciate it.
Oh, you got it.
It is always.
Oh my God.
All right.
Yes. I'll just tell it to
I put this on.
Alright,
Oh, okay, yeah, it's hard.
Alright, thank you.
Got it.
Pinky, you don't have anything on your back.
That's okay.
No, come here.
Oh.
Because they have different parts. Come here. You don't need anything with them. You gotta get one for Heather.
Oh, Bree needs 2 pages.
Well, I don't even have that.
You gave me this. Oh. I was like, I recognize. Yeah, you gave it to me.
There we go. I remember I took your paper.
So soft. Yes.
It's not the greatest of tape, but we're working. There you go. Alright.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Getting rid of back here. I'm feeling good, baby. Oh, so then you go around the different people. Oh, other people go, okay, wait. I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
Wait, I gotta put you somebody straighten them out back then. Alright, there we go. Let me grab this piece. Here we go.
Not skipping?
I mean, this isn't the world's greatest tape, but we're trying to make it happen. There we go. It's good.
Awesome, thank you.
Now, for your head. I got you.
Not full of a book. I'm not gonna cut the words.
Come here, Christy, turn around. Let me do you. We'll do a little training. I hardly felt it. I don't know what else to do.
Switch, we all rotate the other way.
Yeah, so then I read on it.
I remember doing this in motion. It is always so
You gonna make me
sweet.
feel bad about it.
No, man, I'm gonna make you feel good.
Okay. All right, my friend.
Hold on, Rhea.
This is the ego boost day.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know how you got out of this. Oh, it's not too late. I can find you paper.
Yes,
That's exactly I was in a meeting the other day, and it was, the guy was mentioning people. He said, so he said, is Regan here? And I went, he said, oh, I should have noticed there's a glow on that side of the room.
You're sunshine.
I was like,
Listen, there's three of these perfect hairdos right here in the room. Hair dome. That's what we got right here. So we got hair dome.
Alright, we're gonna take about one more minute. Alrighty.
Thank you.
Alright, everybody can come back, go back to their seats. We're gonna round it up. Everybody can go back to their seats. If you wanna write some more messages, we'll do it after the meeting.
Jim was afraid to put a sign on his back.
Jim?
We promised not to write pick me.
I was on the phone, thank you. I saw the slide.
Okay, I'm headed back.
Thank you, Sally.
Alrighty,
Oh, hold on.
we got some last messages.
Look at that, we did it on time.
There we go.
Like that.
Alright, and so as you're returning to your seat, if you can, pull the paper off of your back.
The booth?
If you can.
I love it.
Anybody wanna share anything? Anybody wanna share anything that was written to them? Anything that stood out?
I love your energy and the love for us all. I love that.
And we do all love that about
Because
you.
you know I love y'all, even though when I'm driving.
Anybody else wanna share anything that was written on their paper? Anything that made them feel special?
Mine says go on a diet.
We're gonna call that tough love right there. We're gonna call that tough love.
It's not on me.
Well, if you all are traveling over the course of the next week, we just want to say happy Thanksgiving. We're very thankful for you all. If you are going to be here, we have some great events coming in the office. Feel free to still send your referrals, your guests, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and they have this.
Thank you.
Yeah.